There's a question that almost no one dares to ask aloud, but it constantly echoes inside. Why does it seem like the universe listens to everyone, except me? You do everything right, think positive, visualize, ask with faith, but the answer doesn't come. And when it does, it's not what you wanted. It feels like you're speaking to a universe that's deaf, or worse, mute. I get it. I've felt that way too. The frustration of believing in something greater, and still feeling completely ignored by it. But here's the truth no one ever told you: it's not that the universe isn't listening to you. It's that it doesn't respond to your words. It responds to your energy. To your vibration. To your dominant emotion, not to what you say with your mouth, but to what you feel in your chest. And this simple shift changes everything. Because the right way to communicate with the universe has nothing to do with asking. And everything to do with living as if you've already received it. The problem is, most people were taught to beg, to plead, to wait for the miracle as if waiting for rain in the desert. But the universe is not a judge. Not a strict master. It's a mirror. A conscious field that reflects exactly what you vibrate, whether you're aware of it or not. That's why manifesting isn't magic, it's awareness. It's spiritual energy in action. In this video, you'll uncover what really activates this force. And no, it's not self-help cliches. I'm talking about vibrational codes you emit constantly, even when you don't notice. And when you learn to decode these signals, you'll finally understand, once and for all, how to ask the universe the right way, and more importantly, how to receive without resistance. It's interesting how most people believe they're manifesting something just because they're talking about it. But the universe doesn't respond to your words, it responds to your vibration. And your vibration comes from your focus. What you contemplate most often, with emotion, with commitment, is what you plant in the quantum field. You can say "I am prosperous" 1,000 times, but if your attention is fixated on lack, that's what you're sending out. It's like trying to tune into a radio station by saying its name, but turning the dial to the wrong channel. Spiritual energy doesn't hear words, it feels intention. Imagine your thoughts like an orchestra. Every idea is an instrument. Some are out of tune, others resonate perfectly. You are the conductor. And without realizing it, you're conducting your inner symphony every single moment. If you give attention to fear, comparison, to what's still missing, that's the energy you're sending out. Your higher self doesn't judge, it just amplifies what you're already playing. So, the question is, what music are you choosing to play today? Paying attention to your attention is more powerful than any mantra. It's not about policing your thoughts with fear, it's about noticing, with presence, what's dominating your mind. When you realize you're caught in a cycle of worry, stop. Breathe deeply and redirect. One simple technique is asking yourself, what would my higher self focus on right now? It might seem subtle, but this kind of question instantly realigns your frequency. Awareness is practice, not perfection. I remember a time in my life when, even after studying Neville Goddard every day, nothing changed. I would say I believe in abundance, but my attention was glued to my bank balance. And the universe, obedient as it is, kept reflecting that same scenario. Only when I started observing, not judging, the quality of my daily vibration, and not just what I said, things started to shift. It was as if I had found the lost key to the safe that had always been open. That's why everything begins with self-responsibility. It's easier to say the universe isn't listening, that God is distant, that life is unfair. But what if it's the other way around? What if the universe is responding perfectly to what you've been vibrating, not deviating 1 millimeter? Suddenly, you realize you're not a victim of circumstances, you're the creator of them. And the raw material for your creation? Your attention. Where's your attention right now? Attention is the most valuable investment in your spiritual journey. More than time. More than money. Because where you invest your attention, you plant energy. And that energy grows, expands, and becomes concrete reality. Want to change the script of your life? Start by reviewing what you've been mentally watching. Are you tuning into the frequency of scarcity or prosperity? Are you aligning with fear, or the divine spark of trust? That's conscious evolution. Attention is vibration in motion. It's the invisible signal you're emitting non-stop, like a spiritual lighthouse. And that frequency doesn't take vacations. So, keeping an eye on your attention is the first step to creating a life aligned with what you truly want. A life of more ease, presence, and expanded consciousness. And when you get this, everything changes. Because that's when you begin to inhabit the only place where creation truly happens. Most people live in the almost. Almost made it, almost got there, almost found happiness. But the universe doesn't work with assumptions or future promises. It only responds to the now, to what you're vibrating in this very moment. Thinking and speaking as if something is going to happen keeps it in the future, forever out of your reach. Vibration is presence. When you say, "I will be prosperous," the universe understands that prosperity is not here. And guess what? It confirms it. It mirrors it. The universe always says yes, but it says yes to your frequency, not to your wish. That's why so many people who study spirituality, read Neville Goddard, and make affirmations stay stuck in the same place. Because the focus is still on lack, on when it happens, on one day I will. Consciousness expansion happens when you take on the identity of who you want to be, before any external evidence shows up. And that's not pretending. It's recognizing. It's living as if that thing is already within you, because it is. The divine spark doesn't wait for circumstances. It creates them. Want a simple example? Think of an actor. When playing a king, he doesn't wait until the crown is on his head to act like one. He changes his posture, his voice, his energy, and the crown comes later. The same goes for your spiritual journey. When you begin to act, speak, think, and feel like someone prosperous, you start to embody that role in reality. This is intelligent manifestation. It's when your spiritual energy moves ahead of the material and shapes the way. You don't need to scream to the universe, "I want love." It understands better when you wake up and decide to love your breakfast, your routine, your reflection in the mirror. Because the universe doesn't translate words, it translates internal states. When you inhabit the now fully, the universe responds with abundance. When you breathe deeply and say, "This is already mine," you're sending out a vibration of certainty, presence, and unity with what you desire. This is living with your higher self in charge. A practice that transforms this theory into real experience is acting as if. Not as empty theater, but as a deep immersion into your new state of being. Want to manifest more prosperity? Start by organizing your finances with gratitude, even if it's just a little. Want to manifest a relationship? Start treating yourself with the love you want to receive. The secret is in the details. You don't wait to be happy, you decide to be happy now. The now is the only point of contact between you and the universe. The past and future are distractions. They are memories and projections. But the power is here, in this second. When you align your language, your posture, and your vibration with the present, you send a clear signal to the universe, "I already am." And the universe, like a quantum mirror, responds exactly. This is deliberate creation. This is living from the inside out. This is evolution. Because the true master of manifestation doesn't chase after what they want. They become it. They vibrate with so much presence, with so much awareness, that the universe has no choice but to mirror what they already are. And then something magical happens. Life is like a giant board game, and most are playing without knowing the rules. They act on autopilot, react to circumstances, repeat patterns like pieces in a game they don't understand. But when someone begins to expand their consciousness, the game changes. Suddenly, you stop being a piece and become the player. You realize emotions have codes, challenges hide keys, and external reality is simply a reflection of your internal energy. This is evolution. It's stepping away from the surface and diving into what truly creates your experience. Expanding your consciousness isn't about thinking positive, it's about seeing more clearly. It's seeing what you once overlooked. It's realizing that your beliefs, often inherited and unconscious, are shaping your reality without your permission. When you realize this, something inside you awakens. You stop blaming the world and start adjusting your lenses. And in that moment, you find a power that's been dormant, the power to choose. Expanding consciousness is that, the conscious choice of how to play the game of life. A good example? Imagine someone trying to reach prosperity but unconsciously believing that money corrupts. They might work hard, make affirmations, visualize whatever they want, but their inner vibration will always repel what their mind deems dangerous. It's like driving with the handbrake on. When you broaden your awareness and identify those beliefs, you release that brake. You begin to reprogram. And then, abundance flows naturally. Because now your field is clear, receptive, aligned. Expanding consciousness is also understanding that the universe is always responding, but not in the obvious ways. Sometimes, it responds with silence. Other times, with a delay that tests your faith. Or even with an unexpected nudge out of your comfort zone. The divine spark within you knows exactly what needs to happen for you to awaken to your true potential. But if your consciousness is closed, you'll resist it. You'll interpret everything as punishment, bad luck, or error. When in reality, it's alignment. The spiritual journey isn't a retreat on some mountaintop. It's a daily practice of observation and choice. It's in the traffic jam, in the difficult conversation, in the bill that's due tomorrow, that you sharpen your mastery. Because awareness doesn't expand just through meditation, it expands through living with presence. An excellent exercise is to write down, at the end of each day, 3 moments when you operated on autopilot, and imagine how your higher self would have responded. This strengthens your energy field and tunes your vibration to the truth. And the more you play this game with awareness, the easier it becomes. The pieces move with less effort, obstacles turn into opportunities, and even mistakes become teachers. You begin to live with lightness, with purpose, with intuition. And that is one of the greatest expressions of spiritual energy, knowing that you're an active participant in creation, not a passive spectator. That's living with the universe, not just in the universe. That's spirituality in motion. With time, you start to notice patterns. The same situations repeat, until you change from the inside. And when you change, everything changes. But you only realize this if you're truly paying attention. Your body feels things before your mind can understand. It's always been that way. That flutter in your stomach before making a bad decision, that lightness in your chest when something aligns, it's your inner guidance system speaking to you. But most people have learned to ignore it. They've been taught that logic is more reliable, that reason holds more value than intuition. And so, over time, people become disconnected from their own inner guide. They keep asking the universe for signs, when the biggest sign is already within them. And there's no mistaking it, emotion is the language of the divine spark. There's a stark difference between thinking and resonating. Thought can be manipulated, distracted, contaminated by fear, trauma, or expectation. Resonance can't be. When something resonates with your higher self, you feel peace, clarity, trust, even if you don't yet understand how it's going to unfold. It's like being in a place and knowing, for no apparent reason, that this is where you're meant to be. It's a silent wisdom. And learning to trust it is one of the biggest leaps on the spiritual path. Because when you align with your own energy, the universe responds in kind. The ego shouts. Intuition whispers. The ego wants control, logic, guarantees. Intuition only wants truth. It doesn't need to make sense, it just needs to be felt. How many times have you heard that little voice saying, "Don't go there," and ignored it? And then, down the road, realized it was right all along? That's no coincidence. That's your expanding consciousness, trying to guide you before the mind complicates things. The vibration always speaks first. It just needs silence to be heard. A powerful exercise is the intuitive pause. Whenever a doubt arises, stop for a few seconds. Close your eyes. Breathe. And ask yourself, does this contract or expand me? This simple question activates your energetic perception. If it contracts, it's ego. If it expands, it's soul. It may seem subtle, but it's transformative. Because you start trusting your own compass, and stop seeking external validation for every step. This is energetic autonomy. This is conscious evolution. When Neville Goddard talked about living from the end, he wasn't just saying to imagine. He was speaking of living with the felt certainty. Of embodying the vibration of the result. And that requires trust in yourself. Manifestation doesn't come from doubt, it comes from knowing. And this knowing isn't intellectual, it's vibrational. You feel it's yours before it even is. Because, in truth, it already is. Spiritual energy doesn't recognize time, it recognizes state. The greatest challenge is discerning what comes from the ego and what comes from the soul. The ego convinces, argues, compares. The soul simply shows. And the funny thing is, the soul almost never brings euphoria. It brings peace. That's why so many confuse anxiety with intuition. The difference is in the body. Intuition calms. Ego agitates. And with practice, it becomes clearer and clearer. You don't need to be a monk to hear your intuition, you just need to remember it's always been there. And when that connection grows strong, you begin to walk paths you never imagined. Decisions flow. Synchronicities multiply. And you realize you've been guided all along. But to follow that flow, something deeper needs to be reprogrammed. The subconscious mind is like a garden. Everything you repeat, it plants. Everything you feel frequently, it waters. And sooner or later, that becomes your reality. The biggest trap? Believing that a single affirmation can change a belief that's been with you for a lifetime. It doesn't. Reprogramming requires repetition. Persistence. Presence. Because the subconscious doesn't know what's real or imagined, it only understands frequency. Vibration. And that changes when you change what you feed your mind every day. This is where most people give up, they think it's not working. But silent repetition is the secret of the masters. It's like carving an invisible statue. At first, it seems like nothing's happening. But one day, you look in the mirror and realize, something has changed. You don't react the same way anymore. You don't sabotage yourself like before. You start acting like someone who trusts themselves, even without all the external evidence. That's evolution. That's your mind aligning with your higher self. When Neville Goddard talked about living the end scene, he spoke of repeating that internal state like a habit. It's not about repeating words without feeling them. It's about repeating the feeling of already being what you desire. Living with the energy of abundance, even before it manifests physically. It's training your body to vibrate success before you see the results. And, through repetition, the subconscious gets the message, this is the new normal. From there, the universe responds effortlessly. A powerful exercise? Record yourself saying affirmations with emotion and listen before bed. That's when the subconscious is most receptive. Another practice, write a phrase like "I am guided by my intuition and everything flows with ease" 10 times a day. It seems simple, but it's impactful. Because it's not about convincing the mind, it's about installing new truths. With repetition, what once seemed impossible becomes inevitable. And that transforms reality. The subconscious mind is programmable, but it only changes through repetition or emotional impact. And since emotional impact is not always pleasant, it usually comes with pain, crisis, or loss. Repetition is the gentler path. But it must be conscious. You can't repeat scarcity all day and then affirm prosperity for 2 minutes. The dominant vibration is what leads. It requires consistency. And that's practice. Like a gym, but spiritual. This is how you build a new vibrational identity. Through repeating thoughts, feelings, and actions aligned with your higher self. The universe responds to your most constant vibration, not your sporadic desire. That's why you need to create rituals. Turn your daily routine into a sacred space for reprogramming. Put post-it notes with empowering phrases in visible places. Use passwords with words of power. Feel it as you repeat. Make the invisible familiar. And when that new pattern installs, transformation is inevitable. You act differently. You attract differently. You create differently. But to live in this new state, there's one thing most people miss. It's not about forcing, it's about allowing. Because asking the universe is one thing. Receiving is something entirely different. So, tell me, after all this, will you still continue talking to the universe the same way you did before? Will you keep asking with words, while vibrating with fear? Will you keep saying you want abundance while carrying guilt for wanting more? Or has the time come to turn the tide? Everything you've learned here isn't just pretty theory, it's a direct invitation to wake up. To stop living on autopilot. To take ownership of your spiritual journey. Because the life you want already exists, it's just waiting for you to vibrate at the same frequency as it. But the question is, will you repeat the old pattern or install a new one? Think about it. What are you repeating mentally every day? What kind of thoughts are guiding your internal orchestra? Are you the conductor, or just listening to the noise? The answer is inside you. And if this video made you reflect, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with those who need it. This knowledge is pure spiritual energy, and the more you spread it, the stronger it grows within you. If you want to keep evolving, expanding your consciousness, and reconnecting with your divine spark, do this: subscribe now to the channel, turn on notifications, and stay close. Your spiritual journey is just beginning, and the universe is already listening.